If you've ever felt alone or misunderstood on your path, if you've ever struggled to find deep, aligned friendships, or if you fear self doubt or imposter syndrome has kept you from stepping into your voice, this episode is for you. Today, we're diving into the healing power of sisterhood, the courage it takes to be visible, and the transformation that happens when women support one another. We're joined by Melanie and Melissa, known as Mel and Mel, sisters, best friends, and the heart driven founders of the ConnectHers Co. Through their platform, they help women in business get seen, heard, and celebrated. But what makes their story so powerful is the bond that began long before business. In this conversation, they'll share how connection, vulnerability, and unwavering support became the foundation of their growth, and how that same sisterhood energy can help you rise too. You'll walk away feeling reminded that you are not alone, that your voice matters, and that being seen and celebrated is your birthright. Please welcome Mel and Mel.
Hi, ladies. Thank you.
Hello.
What a lovely introduction. It made me a little teary.
Aw,
It did. It's
Super
been
yeah,
excited to
thank
have
you
you
good.
guys.
so much.
Yeah, thank you. We're happy to
Yeah.
be here.
So I guess like just jumping right in, guys, can you kind of take us back to the moment you realized that, your relationship as sisters and your shared passion for connection was meant to become something bigger than just like the two of you?
Yeah.
This
Well,
was
I
all
think,
this was all me. So I sent her a bunch of these
yeah,
messages in the middle of the night, and I was like, I think I have a really good idea, and I think you might be interested in this. And at the time, she had no idea what the hell I was even talking about.
I
Um,
never do, to be honest. I just let it
so
wait.
it
I
really
waited
it,
out.
it really took us a few months to kind of figure this out and to figure out if this was something one that we wanted to do and if we wanted to do it together and what the heck that was going to even look like. It kind of just it came from a conversation that I was having with a client, and I was like, there's got to be a better way to help these women do this. And at the time, Mel was she was looking for a new career path. So I was like, well, she's a social butterfly. She like fearlessly will go out and she'll reach out to anybody. So what I really found was so exciting about us coming together and exploring this was we had different skill sets. And the more that we talked about it, the more we got excited about it. And the more we started to realize that this was a thing. This was a thing that people were wanting and something that they were needing. And to be able to do that with somebody that you're so close with and that you've had such a long relationship with, it just made it all that much more exciting. I don't know if it was any one particular moment. I think it was just gradually over time as the conversations evolved and we started just kind of exploring different ideas, it just started to build. And we were just like, I think we got something. I think this is really great. And then we just pull off of each other all the time. She's got a
Mhm,
super creative mind. I have a creative mind. And it was so nice to have somebody who just gets it, who just
Mhm.
understands the way that I think and that the way I understand the way she thinks. And then we just look at each other and we're like, I know what you're thinking.
I know. People around us are like, what is happening between you two right now? We don't understand. And, I agree. Like, it wasn't just one moment, but I also feel like, not just the alignment of being passionate about connecting women and working together, but we also understood the value of our family and our friendships and our health and our time. And that was something that we immediately agreed on and said, this is for us and this is what we're going to do, but we are not going to lose sight of what's really important to us. And as you know, working for larger companies or other businesses, you don't always have that flexibility to be able to take that time. In my family, I need that time for my kids. She knew instantly that that's what I needed. And I also knew that she needed it. We're both very, like she said, we're both very creative. We're very passionate. We extend ourselves. We overextend ourselves all the time. But she knows that if, it's a day where I'm just like crashing, she just steps in and takes over and vice versa. So I think that, having that relationship back us up helped us to make it as far as we have. I don't know how we got here, to be honest. Like, it feels like such a blur, but yeah, I don't think there was one defining moment, but we seemed to click and get on it. As you know, I understood what she was getting at. I was like, this could work. But like you said, it's hard. Like I was turning 50 and I'm like, what am I doing with myself? Why am I starting a new business? Am I crazy? And it's the imposter syndrome and people thinking, what are you doing? That you've had a career as a law clerk for the last, 20 years, and all of a sudden you're popping up on media shows and you're out there promoting this new opportunity. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, but here I am. She's just like, go get him.
Is Tiger.
I
Yeah,
love that. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Would you say, like, it's fair to say that there's been a lot of not only, like, challenges, but a lot of, like, moments to grow in communication and friendship and all in, like, in so many different areas, having going into business with your sister, your friend, I would love for you to speak to some of those because I know, like, for Sherry and I, it's kind of a similar journey, right?
Mm.
Where how we've ended up where we are and, like, the work that we're showing up and doing, like, her and I have had so many moments of having to learn and grow and communicate and, learn each other's boundaries and learn to, like, show up when when one of us is maybe not 100% and, like, the other one has to step in a little bit. So there's a lot of, like, different, like, nuances, and I'm really curious to hear from you guys about what have been some of those for you guys.
It'll be interesting to see how we react after this show, after talking about this.
Nothing you say will surprise us at this point. I think we feel like we're on the journey with you because I think having friends or sisters in a business together it's you're taking away from you're having to balance that
Yeah.
friendship, that relationship as well with that work ethic as well. And so it's a lot of challenges, right? And there are probably times where you want to kill each other. I'm not gonna lie, like that happens to us sometimes.
Sounds
But
like,
we
yeah,
love each
yeah.
other.
Normal, right? Like
That's
you're
normal.
two different people. You have two different sets of ethics. Luckily, we're both, invested. We're both hard workers, but it has been a huge learning curve. Melissa is very specific on details. I say that with love and kindness. And I'm like the girl who's like proofreading everything. You made another spelling mistake. What about this grammar? And she's like, oh my God, you and your grammar. I said, but those are like my strengths, right? Like it jumps out at me. But I think the biggest thing for me personally is defining the relationship in work. I mean, initially when we started, we were super excited and we're always talking and we're like, but then we kind of lost the everyday relationship of just being sisters, right? Like we lost talking about our families and our parents and planning events, like just family events and just everyday stuff that's going in our lives because we were so focused on what we were doing in work. And I think it came around Christmas time that we were just like, okay, we need to like take a step back and realize that we're losing this piece, which is the most important piece to us. And I think since that time, it's been considerably better. I think we both just got so overwhelmed and lost in the process and trying to keep up and trying to do everything. We just lost ourselves. And, and I was missing it terribly. Like it's not just having your sister, but she's your best friend. But over the years, she's like my person, right? So if something's going on and I call her and she's not answering because she's shut down for the weekend because she doesn't want to work, I'm like, but this isn't about work. This is about me. Pick up the phone, but she didn't know that until I had to say, I need this piece because without it, I can't do the other stuff, right? Like I need to have that. And, and our parents on the other side of that are like, oh no, you guys shouldn't be doing this. What if this ruins your relationship? And no, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And, and we're very good at talking. And we come from a family that does not talk. So we're raising our kids the same way. We talk about things. We don't push things aside. We don't get angry and walk away. We talk about it, give each other space to deal, but come back to it. Right. And I think that's made a huge difference for us. So that's like the biggest piece for me. Melissa, how about you? It's my grammar, isn't it?
But I'm so very appreciative of it because I don't focus on that.
Yeah.
I think for me, I really learned a lot about myself. So I have spent so much time working independently for 10 plus some years now, I guess. And going into a working dynamic with somebody else, put aside the fact that she's my sister, but going into business with somebody else where I have to share and relinquish some of that control, I'm not going to lie, it was incredibly difficult for me to do. And it's really only been like the last maybe 3 or 6 months that I really started getting better at communicating where I'm at and what I need. And a lot of the things that I was doing, I feel like were probably very hurtful, but I didn't recognize what I was doing. I wasn't recognizing my own behavior and taking accountability for the actions that I was making and how that affected her. So I really had to do a lot of digging in myself, and I really had to be more aware of the things that I was saying and the things that I was doing and how I was interacting with her, and that was a really difficult journey. That was a path to go on and a lot of self discovery. And here I was thinking, I know everything about myself. I'm good. And then I get in here and I'm like, maybe I'm really a lot more obsessive compulsive than I thought I was. So for me to have to stop and pause and think, okay, I need to make sure that I include Mel in this. I need to make sure that we're having conversations and that I'm not just telling and I'm not just, I'm not just doing all the things and then I'm just kind of tugging her along. So that was
Yeah.
a really difficult thing. And then being accountable and owning up to that and to those actions and being truthful and transparent with her and being apologetic when I recognized that I was doing something that was hurtful, even though those were never my intentions.
Right? Like speaking our language right now. It's actually so refreshing to know that we're not alone, you know?
Yeah, I feel like you're, Whitley and Sherry. Like it feels like no matter what, I mean, they say partnerships don't last. A lot of people say that, right? They're like, don't get into partnership. It's not good for you, blah, blah, blah. And I feel like it takes work to have a partner. And the main key, I think, is what you covered was communication and understanding each other's intentions instead of assuming
That's
what the
right.
other person is thinking or doing or whatever. Because that's been the hard part, right? It's like really understanding where the other person's coming from. And then the other part of that, I think, is being open, like Melissa said. It's like learning to take accountability, learning to listen, because a lot of us, like for me, I grew up with those beliefs that if you were mad at somebody, you just like give them the silent treatment, because my mom would do that. And I picked that up.
Yeah.
So I think having to communicate has been so hard because it's not something I'm very, it's not innately comfortable to do, especially with people that you love, right? And you can set your boundaries with other people sometimes easier than you can with the people in your life,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
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 But it's really about being open to those and like understanding the other person and where they're coming from versus me, because then that partnership never works. I feel like it has to be balanced and it's constant work, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like we're looking in the mirror when we look at you two speaking on this, because Whitley and I can so relate to
So
all of
much.
it.
So
Yeah.
much. The
So
So
the other
is there one of you that is, more like Melissa, like the
Melissa's
more
Whitley.
I think I relate with Melissa a lot
okay,
more.
Sherry.
Yeah, so Whitley's more like the logical, like strategic, controlling kind of like A type. Me
Okay.
now, I'm more of like go with the flow, creative, like do what I want whenever I want kind of person. So it's very
You're
like,
one.
yes, I'm
It's so
non-strategic.
funny.
Like I don't strategize. I just do things when I feel they feel good. That's
Yeah.
how I work, right? So we've had to learn that style from each other. And she's learned from me, I've learned from her. And I'm not going to say it's easy all the time because it's not, but I feel like we are really like, it feels like a milestone every time we get to something. It's like,
It's
whoa,
true.
we got through that. Like,
Mhm.
It really
we can do
does,
this.
right? You have to be ready to be uncomfortable and vulnerable. And if you can't do that, then I think it would be very difficult to have a partnership when you're working with a best friend or sister best friends, whatever that looks like. You have to be prepared to be uncomfortable and you have to be vulnerable. You have to be honest and you have to be transparent. You have to take accountability for your own actions. And you're right. And even just when it comes to communication and just who's going to do what, right? Who's going to be responsible for what? Having those kinds of conversations. That can even be just as difficult. Or when it comes to talking about money, there's so many sensitive things that come up that you have to be ready for it. And if you don't think that you're ready for that, then probably not a good idea to pursue it.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. Like this, so there's so many discussions that, we've had, like at the beginning, for example, I was frustrated because I didn't know what to do. Like I'd never done anything like this before in my life. Like as a law clerk, you're going into a law firm and you just have files everywhere, and you have to get through these things every day. And I knew going back to work in a law firm would be easier for me because it's sort of picking up where I left off. This was not. And so I found that was really difficult because I was trying to find my place, and Melissa was trying to do it all. And she wanted me to find my place so I could help her, but I didn't see her vision the way she saw it. So it was super complicated at first, right? And until we figured out our strengths, then it's slowly been building. And now I can at least, go to work every day and I know what it is I'm supposed to be doing. And I know what my role is. And I feel comfortable in my role doing that, which is great. But it really was difficult. And especially if you're like coming together with this great idea and one person has this really streamlined idea of what this should look like. And I'm like, I don't follow. Like I know nothing about what you're talking about. I'm not in business. I have no background in building platforms and websites. Like this is all super new to me. I'm a people person. That's always been my job. And so I was like, how do I fit my own personality into what we're trying to do? So it was really it was hard and it was frustrating for both of us, I remember we had a conversation. Melissa's like, you really need to figure out what you want to do in this business. And I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea what I'm supposed to do. Like, it's just, it was difficult. But then once we started and really started to figure out what direction we wanted to go in, and then of course it continuously changes. Well, that helped, me to create my own role. And then so now we know, Melissa's really great at a lot of the stuff front end, but really she's in the back end doing a lot of the work that nobody sees because she's really, really good at it. And she enjoys it. And she doesn't always like talking to people. That's just reality.
Privately.
Right. But that's not everybody likes to be talking to people all day long, and everybody reaches a limit at some point. Right. So now it's a better balance, I think.
I think like all of the things that you shared, both like between the both of you guys, as I'm like sitting here and I'm listening, I couldn't help but think everything that we experience, yes, we're both in partnerships in business. And it just seems like being in partnership in business is like we have to face those things head on. Like Sherry and I, we can't avoid the things that come up. You and like Mel, Melissa, you guys can't avoid the things that come up. So it's almost like being in a business partnership, it forces you to see yourself, to reflect, and to actually kind of face those things head on. But there are so many, I think that in friendships, relationships, even outside of business, the same things can still apply. And I think there are so many women out there who are longing for deep connections with others. And there's a fear around visibility. There's a fear around communication. A fear, I want to say more of like the fear of vulnerability, right? Because it takes vulnerability to really, first of all, stand in that, to stand in your power and to really have those tough conversations and to communicate. So I'd really, and you guys have, despite the challenges and the ups and downs of growing this business, you guys have built a very successful platform and you're helping women across Canada with what you're doing. And so I'd love for you guys to speak a little bit more to, the work that you're doing in terms of how women, everyday women, can start to apply some of the things that you guys have learned about yourselves in exploring yourselves and really being able to show up and build deeper connection with the women in your life.
I think that, you're right. Like vulnerability is huge. That was like a really huge factor for me, is being judged. We live in a small community. Everybody knows everybody. Everybody knows everything. And I was really worried about that, and really worried about speaking in public or going on our show. Like that's been a huge, huge learning curve for me. But I think it's important that, as you grow, I think you figure out who you are, but you also figure out who you want to be with and who you don't. And I've been tested a few times on some relationships that I've had in the past that I've had to put myself aside. And, I'm a part of this business, so I need to like be professional. And although I didn't want it, and Melissa like said, you're doing it and you're going to suck it up because this is what we're doing and this is going to help people. And she was right. But being vulnerable, I, it's really hard when people know everything about you. And I think that keeps a lot of other women away from trying to do what they want because they're so worried about being judged or so worried about failing and then being judged. Those are huge factors, and it's something we hear from women all the time. So, women who are out there and have these wonderful ideas but don't know what to do or don't have the confidence to do it, having a partner is really hard, but you also have the other side where she's there to help you. If you have that person in your life, maybe that's the person that you can see this idea to fruition. I think it's so important to have somebody that gets you no matter what. And, I'm fortunate that I have Melissa, which is great. And not everybody has a sister or a soul sister, right? Like not everybody is that fortunate, but, getting yourself out there, being uncomfortable, being vulnerable, those are hard things, but they may reward you afterwards because you may meet that person. You may get that group of friends that are going to get you to where you want to be. Take the chance because it's hard, but we go to bed at night and we're happy, like we're comfortable. We know we get people calling us or sending us messages thanking us, right? We're trying to do so much for our community and the women in our community. And we're really trying to focus on women who don't have those optimistic thoughts or these, they're so focused on the negativity and the challenges, which, we grew up in a home that we were surrounded by negativity a lot too. And it's a mindset for us. We're constant, like when you say, you grew up in a home where your parent, if your mom was mad, she just didn't talk to you. Like we can relate because that's just the generation I think that our families were in, or they're very similar. And Melissa and I have a very strong mindset on not pursuing that. And so I think if there's other women out there who have grown up like that and have those thoughts in the back of their head, take a look around, see what and who are around you, see how you can work together, see how you can build each other up. Call us, we can help you, we can get you started. And I think that for me those were the biggest challenges, so I can relate to other women like that.
Yeah. I knew you would have really great insights on sharing that, Mel, because I know when you came into this, you were like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I don't want to be on TV. I don't want to be on camera. Like all of these things, which are kind of integral to what we're doing. But I always kept reminding Mel, I'm like, you are the kind of person that we're going to be helping, right? Because there's
Yeah.
so many women out there who I think are so intimidated and shy and scared about heading on to this path and pursuing those passions and those dreams that they have, especially if they don't have a support network to encourage them and to cheer them on, right? And doing the work that I do, I work with a lot of women entrepreneurs, and I see this time and time again. And the women who try to go at it on their own, they typically don't get very far. And what I'm seeing now is this. I feel like I always say it's like a revolution of women, and we're all just coming out of the shadows and we're supporting each other and we're uplifting each other and we're encouraging each other and we're finding ways to connect with one another so that we can help each other grow and so that we can all thrive together. And I think that's where the magic comes in. It's when you find that network of supports for yourself and the other women, whether they're an online community or in your actual community. It's so important to get out there and find them because they're out there, and you can have any conversation with any woman in business and they will be the first to say, how can I help you? Right? We're usually the last ones to ask for help for ourselves, but we're always offering to help other people. And I think we forget that. I think we forget that other people want to help us. We get so stuck in our heads thinking, I can't ask for help. I don't want to be a burden on somebody. I don't want somebody
I'll
to feel
figure it
like
out
they have to
myself.
do this for me, right?
Yeah.
All these narratives that we play over and over in our head that ultimately block us from getting to where we want to be and being being the person that we want to become. But there's so much value in reaching out and finding those people, and whether that's a best friend or whether it's your yoga instructor, like whoever it is, find those people that you connect with and foster those relationships, because when you're open to having those relationships, that's where magic happens.
Agree.
I can agree with that. I feel like lately, as we've been going through this, like transferring like beliefs, starting to believe in yourself, being confident, being online, but also knowing the intention is very important. So for me, my whole life has been about proving myself. It's all about being the best at what I do. Like, I'm a creative person. So it's all about getting that praise. And I think that's where the external validation is needed. And if you don't get it, you feel like you're not good enough. And so you have to let go of that and sit with the intention of what your message is, who you're attracting, and those women that are meant to be with you are going to come to you and ask for help because they see something in you that is different, right? That is going to help them. They're not looking at what you're wearing. They're not looking at how your hair looks. They're not looking at how you're speaking. I think getting more intentional with showing up that way, and the more you do it, the easier it becomes because you start to normalize it, right? It becomes normal. And then all these women that are seeing you show up, they're also feeling excited about showing up themselves because they're like, oh, look at Mel, like, look at Whitley, look at Sherry, like they're showing up. Why can't I? So I think it's like setting that precedent for, other women to feel okay with doing that as well, and changing the stories that once lived in their brain that they can't show up because they'll be judged, they'll be ridiculed or whatever. And the thing is, yes, you will be judged. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You're going to be
for
judged.
sure. Yeah.
You're going to be talked about, but that's not your problem. And I always say that because when I show up, it's with intention. When Whitley shows up, it's with intention. When you guys show up, it's with intention. And those people that are meant for you are going to say, you know what? I get her message. And the people that are looking at you in a different way, a judgmental way, they're not ready. They're not ready for it. And they're seeing a mirror back to themselves, that some trigger that's happening. And that's something that they have to work on. And that's okay too. We all have stuff to work on, right? But putting ourselves in a box, dimming our light, not showing up as who we are, I think that's where the disservice comes in helping women in the future. Because if we can't show up, then how do we expect them to?
Yeah. Exactly.
It's so true. Something that's always been super important for us is being completely transparent with everybody. This journey hasn't been easy at all. We've had so many tumbles and crashes along the way, but we've always shared them with our audience, and we've always shared them with the women who are connected with us, because we want them to know that this is normal. This is what it takes, right? And these are things that happen, and there's nothing to be ashamed of. When something doesn't happen the way that you had thought or hoped it was going to, it's okay if those things happen. It's okay if you forgot to email somebody for 2 months and you reach out and you're like, holy shit, I'm so sorry that I missed this, because we're human, right? And I think that we often can go into these endeavors with this perfectionist kind of mindset and thinking, I need to look just like all these other women. I need to do this. My Instagram has to be perfect. I need to have my onboarding process all tidy and polished and all the things. And I have to present myself in this way. But the reality is, it's not happening that way. And a lot of those women who have that appearance of everything's in their basket and everything's going well, they're probably still having those struggles. But for us, we just always wanted to be open and transparent and honest and be like, you know what, this is real. This is who we are. This is what's happening. Thank you for supporting us. And, it's okay. It's okay when things go wrong.
Yeah.
I feel like, kind of speaking on what you were sharing earlier too, Melissa, about basically like doing everything, like when women go into business, just as an example, and how most women don't kind of stick with it when they're going in alone. And it's so crazy because I think about all of my business endeavors I've done in the past, and I've done coaching on my own in the past. And like, now being in business with Sherry, and we're running the podcast. We're now hosting our first retreat that's coming up in May. It's like, yeah, super exciting.
Shameless plug.
Yeah. May 16th to the 18th.
Another way.
But yeah, it's just like, there's so much work that goes into it. And I realize that, in the past, and I think, Melissa, you'll resonate to this too, is like, that feeling of you have to do everything you're on your own. Otherwise, it doesn't get done right or it doesn't get done in time. That controller kind of side. And that has always been me. That's always been me. And so always doing things my way on my own has always just been part of my identity and who I've been. And it's very difficult. It's extremely difficult going on this path on your own, not just within business, but even just like personal growth, spiritual growth. We're not meant to walk this path alone, right? And I think it's so important to just like highlight the power of sisterhood, the power of having those really deep soul connections. And they don't have to be like, I call them deep soul connections because it's the people who get you. It's the people who accept you, who see you and in your messiness, and they still love you and they still hold space for you. It's having those types of, people in your circle, in your corner, to really share that journey and the process with. That's so, so important. And I look back on like old Whitley, me just kind of like chugging through my journey on my own because I thought that's the only way that I could do it. And I think there's a lot of programming too in the background of you only do it on your own, competition, all the things. And something that I've really learned through this experience with Sherry and going into, So Sisters has been the beauty in creating something with others, in collaborating with others and supporting others. And, it's just so cool how the universe works in your favor when you show up and you say, hey, I'm ready to actually be open and to receive, divinely guided relationships, friendships, connections, collaborations. And I remember Sherry and I, we were putting that out to the universe. We're like, universe, send us, soul aligned women or other connections who we can build alongside and collaborate and support and help. And then literally you guys came through, but you guys came through in the most crazy way. It was like you met a colleague of mine at an event in a different city. And then you guys came in through my work, right? And then we just started talking. I was like, oh my gosh, you got to meet Sherry. We got to talk. So it's just, there's so much power in when you show up and you allow yourself to be open to those friendships, to those collaborations, to those, to sisterhood, right? And there's so much growth that comes with it. And it's just, yeah. So I wanted to share that because I think it's just really important to highlight, no matter where you're at in your journey, no matter what your background is or what you've been through, that when you're ready to just open yourself up to receiving, it's beautiful how the universe shows up for you.
Yeah. Agreed.
And it's interesting too, I look back on some of the previous years where I've just kind of gone out and just done my thing. I've always been that way since I was in my 20s. I'm moving out to BC, I'm packing up my little Cavalier and I'm going and I'm doing the things. I look back on that now in hindsight and I'm like, it was lonely, and there wasn't often somebody there to lift me up when I needed that. And I had to learn how to lift myself up, but it doesn't have the same impact, right? Or when a close friend will reach out and just be like, hey, I haven't heard from you in like 6 months. How's it going? I'm thinking about you. There's just something about that where you're just like, oh, that's right. People care about me and I care about them. And, I think we're losing that art of connection with other people. I think we get so easily focused on the tasks at hand and the things that we need to do, the things that we want to pursue, getting food on the table at the end of the week, that we forget about the power of connecting with other people, whether, whether it's a micro interaction with somebody that you just see when you're out doing your errands, or it's your best friend that you check in with once a year. Hi, Lori. I think love you. Right? But like we're losing that art of connecting. We get so consumed with what we're doing or what we're trying to do or where we're trying to be or who we're trying to become, that we forget that there's so much power in being connected with other people who genuinely want the best for you and who are there to lift you up when you're falling down, right?
Right. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's hard sometimes to get yourself up and out to do something that, especially if you're feeling vulnerable or worried about whatever it is, whatever judgment or, it's easier just to say, it's okay, I'll just stay home. But if you actually push through it and you make it through that event, especially if it may not be your go-to people, but if you're there with someone that gets you, like that just makes everything worthwhile, right? Like that helps with everything. I mean, you're both from smaller areas as well. So, like you understand that you're going to some networking event that may be the same people that you grew up with, right? So it's tricky sometimes, right? Because you want to portray who you've become, but you feel like the person you were back at that time. So I think Melissa's right. Like it can be very lonely, but I think you have to push yourself and get out there and see what kind of connections. Every time somebody says though that we've entered their lives, like we always meet people in the most interesting ways, and it always like brings to mind like Kramer from Seinfeld, like rushing through the door in some chaotic motion, right? Here we are. We're here to take over and help you through your day. I hear it so often that now that's like the first thing that I think of. An interesting story is we actually met somebody who we heard him talk at an event in Toronto, and we loved his keynote speech. It was a networking event for women, but he was brought in and he wanted to talk about partnerships, and Melissa and I had just been we had just pivoted. We're like going in a new direction. So we were like super excited to hear him speak because we wanted to know. He went into a partnership with his family, his sister and when they all proposed this partnership, the sister said, "We are not doing this unless we go to counseling once a week." And the rest of us listening to him were like, "Really? You have to go?" They still go. It's been years like that they've been doing this. And he said it's the thing that saves their family unit, but has helped them grow as a business and partner. And I've never forgotten that because I just found that was one, it was so incredibly honest. And he said, "This is my family. I can't lose my family. These are my people. If this is what she wants to do, I'm not super excited, but I'm going to do it." And to this day, he still talks about how once a week, three of them go in, they go for counseling, they iron out their details, leave, move on, and keep going with their company. So I was like, when we talk about we have to do the work for ourselves. We have to be accountable. We have to show up with intention. That showed me that they were like on point, right? Like they knew what they needed to do to get through it as a family, but also as a partnership and as friends. So it was an interesting perspective that I haven't let go of. And it's always in the back of my mind because Melissa and I will both tell you, neither of us are afraid to go to counseling and get help for something that's going on. We are okay with that, but it's taking us a while to admit that we need the help, right? Like admitting that is half the battle, but man, does it make a difference afterwards. And
Whitley,
I
we
think
need
it just,
therapy.
right? Like, yeah, like, I mean, we could talk to each other, but sometimes you need that outside voice that's going to guide you. And it's just, I feel like it helps our friendships, our relationships, like just, and being open to something like that is huge. I think it really just helps everything that we're a part of together.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
once you have a really good understanding of who you are and why you do the things that you do and why you want to do the things that you do, it kind of clears that path up for you, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like there's so many women who are holding back. They're holding back their light. They're holding back those dreams and those passions because they're afraid. They don't know how to go at it. They're, all these different things that we tell ourselves. And I feel like if you get to the root of it and you get to the foundation
Mhm.
of who you are, I think that's the stepping point. I
Yeah.
think you really have to do that work first, and then you can take those steps forward and you can reach out and you can find your people and you can share your light and you can tell people what it is that you want to do.
Yeah.
You can't
Mhm.
just jump into this without any preparation, I think, and
You have
feel
to be
like,
ready.
yeah,
Like,
That's right.
yeah,
I
you're
agree.
saying, yeah. And I think Whitley and I can agree with that because the past 10 years, we weren't ready. And I think when you know that you're ready, when you've done the work or you've taken the lessons you needed to take
Mhm.
into the next phase, you'll know when that time is right.
That's
And I
right.
think that's what you're saying is like, you have to do the work. You have to understand what it is you really want. And during the whole process, we've been doing things solo. And we started to realize that we don't need to do that anymore. Like we can because we've done this before. Like we started a YouTube channel back in 2018
Oh,
with a different thing,
Yeah.
but yeah, similar. Yeah, but it was about people who have been through something really traumatic and took it and inspired other people. So we took that, but we didn't finish it. We didn't go anywhere with it. It was because we were too busy in our lives, what we were doing then, the things that we needed to go through, we had to complete it. And so I think that you're right. It's like you have, like, as we get older, we get more connected to who we are, and we start to shed away those old identities, and we start to see the truth of who we are. We start to see who is really right for us, what is really right for us, what doesn't matter, what perspectives change. I think it's like your perspective is so much different now than it probably was 10 years ago, right? You probably wouldn't have been ready for this.
no, 20 years ago, we were having a lot more fun, I think. But
There's definitely a lot more
well,
beer.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it's hard to be of service to other people when you can't be of service to yourself first,
or if you
right?
give too much and be of service to everybody else, how can you help yourself? How can you figure out who you are when you're so busy taking care of everybody else? And that's a huge, huge piece, I think, that a lot of women are facing right now.
And I think, and that's where the power of these relationships come in, because those people are going to be there to tell you, right? And be like, hey, I think that this can help you, or let me help you with this, or let's do this together. I'm going through the same thing. Even just knowing that somebody is feeling and thinking the same things as you, that alone could just make such a world of difference, right?
Exactly. I agree.
I love this. Can we do some rapid fire questions? You would say who's most likely to, and you would say who
Okay.
that is. So Melissa or Mel. Okay.
Okay.
So who is most likely to cry during a movie?
Me.
No.
Yeah, say your name so the people.
Sorry, Mel.
Mel. Okay. Forget where. Who's more likely to forget where they parked the car?
Yeah, Melanie.
Brain fog.
Who's most likely to start a spontaneous dance party?
Melissa.
Oh, that'd be me. Yeah.
You.
All the time.
All the
Nonstop,
time.
every day.
Yeah.
Who is most likely to binge watch an entire series in one weekend?
That's Melanie.
Yeah, it would be me. Yeah.
That would be me too. Who is most likely to laugh at their own joke?
Oh, that's me.
Melissa.
I'm like, oh yeah, no, that's me.
Melissa. Okay. Who's most likely to be the one to apologize?
That would be me.
Melanie.
Who is most likely to go on a wild adventure?
Melissa.
Melissa.
Okay. Who is most likely to spend all their money on clothes?
Me.
Melanie.
Who is most likely to steal the other person's food?
Melissa.
What am I stealing? I missed the last part.
Food.
The other person's
Oh yeah,
food.
that's me.
Okay.
But you're not allowed to take off her plate.
Don't take my food though. No,
Don't touch her food.
that's off limits.
Who is most likely to be the overprotective sister?
Me.
Melanie.
Okay. Who is most likely to win an argument?
Melanie.
You think so? That's
Yeah.
nice. Really?
I cower in the face of conflict.
I don't like conflict though. That answer surprises me.
Oh my gosh. You're learning about each other. Who is most likely to pull a harmless prank?
That would be me probably. Actually,
Well,
either
yeah.
of us. Well, both of us are like that though.
Who's most likely to say, I told you so?
Melanie.
That would
Who's
be me.
most likely to be the drama queen?
This one could be hurtful.
This one's hurtful.
I
Yeah.
know.
This
Can
one
we
could
say
lead
our
to a fight.
mom?
Yeah, let's go with mom.
Go with mom. Okay. Who's most likely to text back instantly?
Melanie.
Who's most likely to be the favorite, or no, lose their phone 5 times a day?
Melissa.
Oh, that's me.
Okay.
It'll be in my hand and I'll like birthday.
And the last one, who is most likely to laugh so hard they cry?
That's me.
That's Melissa. I don't know. I've had some moments too though.
I
Yeah.
make myself laugh until I
She's laughing at herself,
Laughing
her
at her
own
own
jokes
jokes, and
until
then-
she cries.
my husband will be like, what is wrong with you? Like, I can't explain what's in my head right now, but it's really good.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's awesome. That was the end of the
Time's up
who's
here.
most likely.
Those are awesome questions.
Those are funny.
Yeah, those are awesome. Maybe we should do something like that on our show to fire back at you two.
Oh god, I knew you'd say that.
You're like, damn it.
You're gonna pull one on us.
It could be fun.
It would be. We
Yeah.
enjoy games.
It's funny because as you guys were answering those questions, I was thinking about the similarities, like how Mel and Sherry are so similar, and Melissa,
Yeah.
you and I
Yeah.
are so
Right?
similar. Yeah,
Isn't that funny?
it's wild.
And I think we all, we're all very similar in nature generally, but it's when you see like Sherry and she's like nodding away to my answers. I'm like, hello.
Yeah.
It feels so easy to just connect with you guys too, you know? It feels very easy and just laxed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sentiment is mutual. I love this.
exactly. Actually, it's even better with wine. We're
Oh, that's
super.
good.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on today. I
You.
think
Oh, you're
Yeah,
welcome.
Whitley and
so
I both
nice.
love your energy, and we hope to work together and collaborate more and see what happens, because I think this is a beautiful like connection that we've built here, and it's only the beginning.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
agree. Only the
exactly.
beginning. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us, ladies. This was so lovely.
Bye.